morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you today to today's reflection. Today, the third Sunday of Advent, the cycle B according to the church's calendar. The first reading taken from the prophet Isaiah, the second reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Thessalonians, and the gospel from the Gospel of St. John. These three readings invite us to bearing testimony to Christ in cheerfulness. You must bear testimony to Christ, and this is the theme of our today's reflection. In the first reading, the prophet Isaiah was caught up in a web of joy, in cheerfulness, counting the testimony given to him by God, the testimony of his mission. And he says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has commissioned me to do this, to do that." And he was counting, even in his difficulties. In the gospel today, we see John caught up in the same web of bearing testimony for Christ. He began by stating clearly his mission. He had Christ at heart. As the precursor of Christ, he has his mission clearly defined. And when the Jews and Levites sent people to inquire from him his mission, he stated his mission. "I am not he. One who is greater than I is coming." And he did not assume the place of Christ. Instead, he stated his mission. Christ is the Messiah. "I am only one who has come, the voice in the wilderness." The likes of John are very hard to be found today. Today, you see so many ministers, priests, men of God. They assume the place of Christ instead of pointing people to Christ. Just like John pointed people to Christ. This is the Lamb of God. They assume the place of Christ and draw the people to themselves. We are called today to be true Christians who bear witness. Everything we do should be geared towards bearing witness to Christ. Okay. In the second reading, St. Paul admonishes the Thessalonians on the right attitude to bearing witness to Christ. The conduct of a Christian. He gave them some codes that are very important for you and for me. And he says, "Pray always, rejoice always, pray constantly. Do not quench the spirit. Give thanks in all circumstances. Hold fast to what is good and avoid all that is evil." These codes are very important for you and for me. It moves from just confessing Christ with our mouth into our actions. You must bear testimony to Christ through your actions. Now the question comes to you, the question comes to me. How do you bear witness to Christ? How do you live your life? Do people look at you as a Christian and say, "Oh, no wonder"? Or do they look at you as a Christian and say, "I wonder"? This is a question you should ask yourself. I should ask myself today. Let us try to use our lives to bear witness to Christ, no matter where we find ourselves, no matter the difficulties, no matter what. Instead, like Isaiah and like John, those who were facing difficulties in their mission, let us say, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to bear this witness. He has anointed me to do this." And so we follow up this mission, hoping and knowing full well that Christ, who has called us into this mission, will not leave us empty-handed. He will always be with us, to guide us, to console us, and to strengthen us in all our difficulties. May God bless his words in our hearts through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you, and God bless you.
I am still